Welcome to USTS, the Ultimate Sports Training Show. I'll be your host for today's show, Bob Lemire. Joining me on today's show is probably one of the greatest Taekwondo fighters, 70s and 80s, 90s, no? Maybe a little.
Part of the 90s.
Part of the 90s. That I've ever seen, and most people in this area have ever seen, up and down the East Coast, just taking championship after championship, and I know he's an international championship. We'll be talking about that, we met probably, I think, 35 years ago, and become really good friends. My good friend, Master Major Battle. Welcome.
Thank you.
What I want to do is I want to get into Major's head and anyone who's training for anything, any kind of sport, and there's a routine you have to establish for yourself and how you train. I want to get into his head how he did it, because if you listen and get one pointer of his genius in the martial arts, you're going to do well. It'll be something that you'll enjoy. So, Major, before we start, give me an idea of what you've done for championships and how long you've trained. And
I've been training since 57. Well, actually 58 next month. I've been training since I was like 12 years old, and my whole training method, I've been winning state championships in New England area, ITF nationals. That was back in the late 80s, early 90s. And getting up in the morning, training, practice constantly. Even times when I didn't want to practice, I practiced. Times when I was sick and I had the flu, I still went in and I practiced.
And competed.
And competed, yes, and competed. Yeah. You remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Stuff.
And championships. Just give me a rough idea. I know there's an unlimited amount of championships you won.
Right.
What are some of the biggies?
Oh man, if I can remember some of them. A few times in New York, there was a lot of championships in New York, state championships, where in Connecticut too, and a lot of competitions. But the competitions were mainly in New York because you were pretty big, the Big Apple, and you have a lot of great fighters coming out of New York. I fought a few times in Philadelphia and around the Pennsylvania area there. Great fighters there. ITF fighters, WTF fighters. And when I say ITF, International Taekwondo Federation, and WTF, World Taekwondo Federation. And a lot of great fighters.
Right.
And stuff.
And New England, you were a New England champion.
New England champion.
Massachusetts champion.
Yes, Massachusetts. Where, good fighters from your school.
Oh yeah. We had quite the rivalry going for many years. Major's from Boston, and the school he would train would be in Boston. My school would be in under Grandmaster Mu Young Lee. It was in Lawrence, and so the towns are fairly close, and but kind of similar because you grew up in probably a tougher neighborhood. I know I did. And where fighting was just common.
Yes.
As a kid.
I actually grew up in Roxbury, Ruggles Street Projects.
Right.
And, they're no longer there now, but near Madison Park High School, they tore them down and everything.
Right.
And growing up, rough neighborhood and stuff, I was never particularly being a bully, but I was getting bullied.
Right.
And
you were a smaller guy or a thinner guy.
Smaller guy and everything, the typical story where, getting bullied, didn't really like to fight or anything, trying to be friends with everybody.
Right, yeah. But growing up in that environment, and I was a small kid myself. When we fought, it's funny because when we fought together back 35 years ago, whatever, I think we fought at 135 or 140 or something like that. We were just sticks. Yes. But that's because we trained so hard. I couldn't keep weight on.
I couldn't keep weight on. I couldn't even gain weight. I remember there was one tournament where I was actually underweight.
Yeah.
And they told me, they said, you have to, if you're going to fight at this weight level, I think I was fighting either lightweight or welterweight. And I was under.
Right.
And my friends was feeding me bran muffins, corn muffins, everything, bananas.
To get your weight up
for
that day.
Weight up for that day.
Yeah. Like you needed that to go fight
right,
in
right,
the stomach.
Right.
Yeah. That's so funny. And Yeah, and that's, right now, actually, Major just got big. You got to be a just big guy compared to what you were before.
Right,
And
right.
but you're 6 something, so you filled in.
Yes, I filled in a lot, and then
Yeah.
with the COVID, there was nothing to do but to exercise.
Yeah.
So a lot of things
Yeah.
I was doing was either running, jump rope, walking,
Right.
sprinting, anything.
At the age of 56, 57, 58,
Right.
And a couple of years ago, Major and I, we started putting together a documentary, which I'll never let go. And the documentary is how we fought twice. We each won a fight, and what would happen if we did another fight for the rubber match. And we were going to call it the last fight for brotherhood. All right. All of a sudden, COVID hit. I was retired when I started it with Major, and then I went right back to full-time work. And then my wife, she got sick. It just stopped everything. But things have changed. COVID's going away. I'm going to be retiring semi anyway. So it'd be great to get that back going. We already started it. And that would mean we would have to train for a good 6 months or something, and then do a documentary on it. On how you're training at our age.
Right, at our age and everything.
Yeah.
Because training's a little bit different now than,
Oh, much, yes.
we're not young anymore like we used to be and really do all that stuff.
Well, we wouldn't kill each other like we
Right.
were trying to do it
Right.
back in the day, but we could go and show some moves. But the whole documentary would be two guys back 30 years ago, 35 years ago, 40 years ago fought, and let's do it again at the age of 60 and 70 or whatever.
Or whatever age.
Whatever
at
age
the
we are, and
time.
we're getting up there every 5 minutes.
Exactly. And I do feel it.
Oh, God, yeah. But that would be so cool just to watch, get a camera on you and watch you train and talk about the aches and pains and how, oh, man, I don't know if I could do this. This is going to hurt. And, and then one last good, fun fight.
Fun fight, right.
Just go right at each other and
just go at it,
break
go
my
at
nose
each other.
once more.
Oh, I love that. Oh.
He broke my nose twice.
I
this
felt
guy.
terrible when I did.
Yeah,
When you told me, I
that's-
really felt terrible.
That's part of
about
the
that.
game. That's part of the game. And
Oh.
try to rearrange my nose like a little Brad Pitt thing, and it didn't work. Yeah. But so.
But you still won the fight, though. See?
Well, yeah.
Show how tough you are.
As
man.
I said earlier, Major just did a Taekwondo show. He ran the show, and we're talking about slow starting a fight and just being a little lazy. And until you get cracked in the head, that woke her up. It was like, well, almost, thank you.
Yes.
Now we're gonna fight.
Now we're going to fight. It takes you into that zone.
Oh yeah,
It takes you
yeah.
into that zone
Yeah.
where you don't even hear the crowd. It's
No.
just you and your opponent.
Oh, you never hear the crowd.
and
Yeah.
you're in the zone, and you don't. The only time you come out of it is when the match is over.
Yeah, and if you haven't trained, and I remember training 3-4 hours a day, you same thing. That still isn't enough for national competition. If you're going to fight these elite athletes who go 8 hours a day, they're like machines.
Bread and butter and everything, and you wonder, okay, are they training? What should I be doing? Should I be training today?
Yeah.
What are they eating? Am I eating right?
Oh, everything has to click.
Yes.
The thing is, as I say, I was in pushing 30s, and that's ancient for trying to keep up with younger guys. But under Grandmaster Mo Young Lee, and the same with you, with your Grandmaster Kim, we were lucky we had the best.
Yes.
And the best partners. You had some of the greatest fighters in the state and in the country.
Yes.
In the country.
Yes.
You
I
had
did.
national champions.
National champions.
Right.
And much as I was afraid to go against some of those guys,
They taught you a lot.
They taught me a lot, and
Right.
I got my butt handed to me plenty of times. And I was even asking myself, man, am I ever going to get good at this or what?
Well, if you can go into a ring with, say, a Mike O'Malley, I said we weren't going to drop names, but that's I'm only honoring him, and John Lee,
Yes.
and Sid. What was Sid's last name?
Sid Gottner.
Yeah, the greatest fighters.
Yep, Larry Jones.
Larry
Leroy
Jones,
Rodriguez,
great
God
people.
rest his soul.
Yeah, and if you can go in the ring or train with them, anyone else might be easy.
Yes.
It's an
yes.
easy
It
factor.
made
Not
you-
that they are.
It made you a better fighter.
Oh,
It
my
made you a
God,
better
yeah.
Fighter.
Yeah.
Especially being under their tutelage, and
Right.
Even though we said we're not going to drop names, but
Right.
Mr. O'Malley, Mr. Kim, Johnny Lee, going under their tutelage and everything, they brought out the best in you.
And you were the kid, so
Right.
they're going to take care of you. They're gonna watch you. They're gonna say, all right, and a good kid. Major, I've known Major, as I say, many years back. We lost contact for a long time. Facebook, I think, is when we got back.
Yes, we got back in touch.
But even as a kid, and he was a national champion, New England champion, always humble. And I would watch. I'd go over and talk to Major. We'd talk before a fight, after a fight, and I would just love how humble you were. All right, there was no airs. There was nothing. Oh, I'm a great fighter or anything. You were just a nice guy and to talk to. And you'd watch some of these other people walk around, these champions, and some of them have an ego problem. An ego problem, and it's just.
Well, I got caught up in that one time. It was because of my name.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't know I was named after my father. He got the name from my uncle,
Right.
and my father's from North Carolina, and for some reason he wanted. My brother didn't get the name. I ended up getting the name, so I got all that. And plus, I went in the military with this name. Like, how'd you get this?
The
name?
beautiful
So all
name.
these-
You should
right,
be a
Major
movie
Battle.
star. Major
Right.
Battle.
So people thought that I made it up, and
Yeah.
I was being arrogant.
Oh,
They didn't realize it was my God-given name.
Oh,
and
that's-
I
yeah, I
so
never-
said,
I would
"Oh,
never
my
think
parents
of
had a
that."
sense of humor. You know?
Wow, that's just beautiful. Yeah, but you know what? And I remember telling my father, God rest his soul. I said, "Yeah, I'm fighting this guy from Boston, Dad. He's good." He goes, "Yeah." I go, "Yeah, Major Battle." What? I go, "That's his name, Dad." Major Battle. I don't want to fight anybody named Major Battle. I says, and believe me, there's major battles going on there. But that's, you know what? It's
The name gave me problems. The name always gave me
imagine
problems.
that. Yeah,
I mean,
I would never think because you're such a nice guy. And
even when I met my wife, I asked about my ID. I'm like, no, this is my
This
God-given
is
name.
my
She's like,
God-
you're lying. You know,
Oh,
no, I'm not.
Major
This is my
Battle.
real name.
yeah. But you know what? Well, you're a great fighter.
Thank
And
you. You are too.
Yeah, and the thing is, Major Battle and being a great fighter, boy, that goes together. That just goes together. And there's no one in the world.
I know.
There's a lot of Bob Lemire's running around, but there's no Major
But,
Battles.
I mean, even sparring against you in competition, you brought out the best in me.
Yeah, we had some fun.
And we had really
yeah.
great fights. And I mean, those were some.
We hit each other
rounds that
hard.
We
Yeah.
hit each other hard. We got back up, and we just went at it. And, best man won. And we just brought out the best out of each other.
Well, we liked each other right off the bat. We
Yeah.
knew that we were going to always be at the end fighting
Right.
one way or another. And the thing is, I'd go to tournaments and I'd say, "Where's Major?" And 90% of the time you're there, but if you went down saying, "Yeah, right, where's Major?" Because you're always there. Major was always there. And when we fought, back in those days, they didn't even have headgear. We were talking about they had gear almost like what we're wearing now, but a little wrap, just to make it look good. Because people, as we mentioned earlier at the show, the other Taekwondo show, people were dying.
Right.
People were getting knocked out, reverse round kicks, front round kicks, and hitting the floor.
That was They didn't have no mats or anything.
No
like
mats.
that.
It was a basketball court, as hard as that is.
Concrete,
Yeah.
wood, and when it was going into the Olympics, that's when they made the changes.
Yeah. You can't have people. Well, the competition is getting stiffer, and we're talking 8-hour, 10-hour days. People are training. You're getting good,
Right.
and all you are is a machine. You're knocking people out. You better have headgear on. You better have a lot of gear on.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
We would fight with nothing, and I if they would have want me to put a helmet on, I would have said I'd rather not.
Right.
I'd rather because we're so used to not having it.
We're so used to not having it. I even have pictures, of me sparring without headgear.
Yeah.
And whenever I show people, I said, notice there's no headgear.
And you got hit.
Oh,
You got hit more than once, and as I say, as we were saying, never got knocked out, but got dazed.
I got days. Yes, I got days where I'm like,
Yeah.
don't go down. You gotta keep going. You gotta keep going.
Yeah. I remember sparring with a good friend of mine, Grandmaster Barry Drago. Do you know Barry Drago?
Yes.
And we used to go at it, and he was the newest student, but we would spar every Saturday. And I remember, just like you, he'd love to do a reverse round kick, and I used to love it because I would duck and then counter. Well, one day he did a reverse round kick, but he did it low, practically ripped my ear. My ear was just dangling off, the whole bottom part of it. And he was all upset. I said, no, I deserve that. I said, we're sparring and you got me.
You got me.
Yeah,
You got me.
yeah.
That happened to me one time, and I forgot who I was sparring. Guy, he's still alive today. more experienced than me, and I was fine, but I was taller, so I was trying to use my reach.
Right.
But he was known to throw a spinning wheel kick. And every time he went to a tournament, he knocked people out with the wheel kick.
Oh yeah.
Well, he caught me with it, and I was dazed, and I had to stop. And I was like, "Oh man, don't go down, don't go down."
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, but I'm like, he said, "Oh, I'm sorry." I said, "No, that was my fault. Should have had my hands up."
You had a tremendous jump reverse round kick, because I used to love that kick, but to do it in a tournament, you better be confident in it. And I remember you did it to me 2 or 3 times on the film that we took, and I got to duck, and I said, if I didn't duck, I'm dead. That thing, there was no stopping it.
Right.
Jump reverse round kick.
Right.
All right, the film. Do you remember the film?
Yep, I remember the film. Yep.
3 of them I saw, and I got lucky to get out of that way. I says, because if I didn't, you're coming around so fast, it's going to knock you out.
Right.
And I remember ducking, and I said, thank God I practiced this so many times, because I'm a dead man with that.
Second nature,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And you have to train with the right people, all right? As good as you are, you have a natural talent. You're putting everything you have into it. You have to have the right people, because if you're not training, if you're not sparring training with these great fighters, you're never going to see what the greatness is coming at you.
Right.
And they had everything. Your guys had everything. A lot of my guys had everything. Every weapon there was, and you get used to it.
Right, you get used to it.
Yeah.
And you also took a lot of the techniques. And even when I went to tournaments, I used to watch people from your school spar,
Right.
what technique they were using.
Right.
And I'm like, so I'm going to go practice that.
Little
So I
different.
tried that.
That's
So,
right.
there was different type of tournaments. There were full contact tournaments, and then there was point tournaments.
Right.
And one thing the point tournaments helped me with was speed and timing. And to be really quick.
Right. And you do get that quickness.
Yes.
You just get that quickness, and your brain doesn't even realize how quick your body is, because your body's faster than your brain can think sometimes, just out of a reaction, And a lot of times, a reaction will be you'll be hit with a kick, and you'll follow up with something that you say, how did I even get that off? When did I, especially if I look at old films now that I'm a little older, and I probably have half the speed that I had when maybe half. I look, I went, whoa, how could we get that fast? Look at, and then you try it, and you say, all right, don't do too much of that now, Bob, because you want
the same thing. I'd be like, don't do too much.
Slow it right down. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. That's the problem with having film, and we didn't have phones.
No, we didn't have phone. Like now, you can videotape everything. We just
Videotape?
had the VCR cameras.
That's
I
all.
think I still have one of the fights on there.
Yeah.
And I remember watching it. And I think I was in New York, and I was fighting against a guy that was on the Canadian team. And I did a jumping, turning back kick, and I caught him. But my body was still in the ring. But as I bounced off him, I left the ring. So I scored the point, but I also left the
You
ring.
left the ring.
And
That's
stuff, and
funny.
they still gave the point.
And sometimes you say to yourself, did I do that on purpose?
Right.
I'm gonna move that closer just a little to you so I can hear you. I want to make sure I can hear you there.
Yeah. No problem.
There you go.
And I was wondering if, when I look back at that fight, I said, how did I do that? It's as if someone just picked me up and I spun my body.
All right, so memory lane. We just walked down memory lane. Tell me how you train. Tell me some of your training methods. Say on a typical, you're gonna fight for the New England Championships. Right?
Okay.
What would be 3 months into? Would it be 3 months, 2 months that you'd really start going crazy?
Within 3 months, I
Right.
start going crazy.
Yeah.
Where training is just half my time. Where I'm training morning, noon, and at night. When I get up, as they say in the shirts, repeat, morning, noon, and night. Morning, I'll get up, I'll stretch, I'll do a little bit of shadow boxing, moving around. If I have time before I go to work or school, at the time, I will go for my run. I'll run either 2 or 3 miles. After school, everything becomes a workout. After school, I go practice. Try to get as much sparring as I can. Come the weekend, I'm not going out. I'm in the gym. I'm practicing.
That wild.
Practicing.
Yeah.
I'm not at no parties. I'm not no cookouts or anything. All I'm doing is focusing on what I want to do because I want to win.
And all for that last victory, and they would raise your hand and you win the championship, it's all worth it at that point.
Yes,
You
it
say,
is.
right? And then everyone's congratulating you. You're on top of
Top of the world.
And no one realizes you put thousands of hours. And your social life went crazy,
Yep.
right? Constantly thinking about it.
Yep.
And if you can't get a workout in, like a day or
I
two.
was miserable. I was miserable.
I can't.
was really-
What do you mean? I can't go here. I can't go there. I'm sick. I feel lousy. How many times did you competed sick? You competed with
I
the flu.
competed with the flu, and
Yeah.
I also remember one time when I had the flu, and Mr. O'Malley was running the school at the time, and I had the flu, and he called. He told me to come over and work out, and I said I have the flu. He says, "So what's stopping you?" And I went there,
Yeah.
and believe me, when I went to train that day, I got beat up by like just about the whole class. I ended up sparring, and I'm like,
It don't get any worse.
I was like saying,
Oh no, I do.
"Wait till this over, please don't hit me again, please
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
hit me
yeah.
again." And
That's so funny.
I got my butt handed to me.
Yeah, it reminds me of Graham Messerly. He would live. He had a school in Connecticut, and I had in Lawrence, and he'd come see us once every 2 or 3 weeks, and we'd have classes at the end, or we'd go down there. So, but he'd say, I remember he'd say, "Bob, how you doing?" And I, for a while, I was going, "Well, I hurt my shoulder," and then he'd walk away. The next time he see me, "Bob, how you doing today?" My toe. I think I broke. He'd walk away. I realized he didn't want to hear that.
Right.
So one day he comes and, "Bob, how you feeling?" I said, "Mr. Lee, I feel great." That's what I want to hear. Then he walked away. He didn't want to hear my
Right,
aches and
right.
pains. So from that day on, I says, "I'm never going to say it that I'm hurting to anyone again. No one cares.
Right,
Just
no.
do it.
Just do it. Just
Because
do
we
it.
all hurt."
Right, right. I remember your instructor. We took a
Seminar.
seminar with them down in Connecticut.
Yeah.
And again, I was the youngest one.
Yeah.
So, in low rank,
Yeah.
to go further, whatever they told me to do, I just did it.
Right.
And we took the seminar. So then it came to the sparring part. And I remember your teacher warmed us up really well and
Yeah,
everything. And great guy, man. God rest his soul. And I was doing a sparring match against this guy from New York. And we sparred to a tie. But I was really upset with myself because I know I could beat that guy.
Right,
I
yeah,
know I could beat
yeah.
that guy. But the guy after me, he was good.
Yeah.
And I said, if I ever see that guy again, I said, I'm going to beat him.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
The following year,
Oh God, here we go.
go to a tournament.
There he is.
Your instructor holds a tournament in Connecticut.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, the trophy is still up at Mr. Kim's school.
Right. I remember seeing the picture of you and the trophy.
And near the trophy.
Trophy is bigger than we are.
Right, right. And I run into that same guy. And I looked and I said, I got you this time. I got you this time because I knew what he was going to throw.
Right.
And every time he had a great jumping, spinning back kick. I switched my side. I switched and I fought as a lefty.
Right.
And
Threw him off.
just threw him off.
Wow.
And I
Right,
just
yeah.
had him. I had him the
That's-
whole match.
That's experience. That's
And
experience. Yeah.
I'll never forget that. It was a great fight. But every time when he went to go throw it, I just switched sides.
That's and it's something that the normal person wouldn't even notice.
Right.
They don't know. And even in a normal fighter, you have to be an elite fighter to know what the guy's doing.
Right.
All right. Same with boxing. If all of a sudden a righty's fighting and there's swaps to southpaw, it'll throw the whole
Just throw them off.
game plan off
Yeah.
of the other guy.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But you better know how to do that, and
Know how to do it, know how to adapt. Everything improvise if you have to improvise a little bit or something.
Yeah, I mean, and that's how we train. And as we're talking now, we just did a show, a regular Taekwondo show, about an hour ago, and it's muscle memory, but you gotta make sure both sides are balanced. Now you might like that right leg, that's just strong leg. It might be, but that left leg's got to be just as strong and as fast. Because if you only have one side, you're fighting at a disadvantage. Right. All right, both sides got to be going strong. And I always told my students, don't constantly go for that strong side, because if it gets hurt and you're still training, you got to do that left side, right. And that starts picking up power and stuff because you're not doing the right side. Because I mean, how many times did you train hurt?
Oh,
hurt.
I remember training with the pulled muscle. And
That could
also-
last months.
And it did last months.
Yeah.
And put it this way, the pulled muscle was so bad. If a dog was chasing me, it would have just caught me. If anyone was chasing, I couldn't run.
That's wild.
So I was
What
mainly-
the hamstring?
The hamstring. It was the hamstring.
Axe kick. Don't tell me it was an axe kick.
Actually, no. It was a side kick.
Wow.
It
Wow.
was a side kick, and
Yeah.
I was out for about 3 months. But I was still practicing. I was just going over patterns and
Right.
blocks
And
everything,
other
working on
things,
my
yeah,
hands,
yeah.
other things like that. Walking.
Would you have it wrapped up?
I had it wrapped up. I was soaking it, icing it down.
Yeah.
And even this is when I was in high school
Right.
at the time, and even going up the stairs, I was late for class, so I had to have a pass and say, "Listen, I have a pulled muscle."
Oh, you really did it, yeah. And what, it just was it completely pulled, or was it
It was just hanging.
what they call stretched?
Stretched.
Yeah,
It was stretched.
to a point where you tore the muscle.
Right.
Yeah.
It took almost 3 months for it to heal.
Yeah.
And how I knew it was healed, I fought a tournament in New York, and I used the axe kick, and I said, "Hey, it works." I said, "Hey, it works."
See, I would think the axe kick is because I remember doing an axe kick and really because you want to go high,
Right.
And the higher you go, if you're not completely stretched, or if there's any tightness in that leg, you're gonna whether you pull it or the muscle rips.
Right.
So you can have a ripped muscle instead of a pulled muscle, but that leaves scar tissue, they say,
Right.
and it tightens you up after the fact because now you got scar tissue that
I was tight. Yeah, I was tight. I had to really re-stretch it out.
you have to start all over again. Yeah.
All over again. And I mean, stretching. The time I got up, I stretched. Before I went to bed, I stretched. During the middle of the day, I was stretching.
Yeah.
Just so I can be able to get back to
Right.
that level again.
Yeah, and as we were mentioning earlier, the people who see we had bodies that would stretch.
Right.
We were Gumbies, we had full splits. Just nothing could stop us. And then you'd fight someone who was tight, and they could be the toughest kid in the world. But if they didn't have that stretch, it hindered them, and you could see that, and you could use that as a weakness for them. You know, you see that they weren't going to get up where you were going to get up. You know.
You see when the kick was coming. You see when they were
Yeah,
getting ready to
yeah.
raise up their knee because
Right.
it was so slow.
Yeah, yeah,
And stuff.
And-
And,
and-
the main thing, they were tough. They kept coming.
right.
But, if you knew how to just move out of the way and just tag them, keep tagging them.
And as I say, what are you, 6'1", 6'?
I'm actually what? A little below 6.
Really?
Well, yeah, a little bit below. About 5'11".
You were at 6 at one time because we all shrinking.
Well, I know. As I got older, I think I shrunk.
We shrinking.
I'm
Yeah.
actually looking up at my son now and stuff, and I'm like saying, "Hey,
But
a year ago, he was looking up to me, and now I'm like,
yeah,
wow."
I know. That's so funny. And we fought at one, and I keep thinking 135, but
It had,
see-
yeah, we were like lightweights.
we were down there. There was
Yeah.
nothing to us.
We were like, yeah.
Bones because
Skinny
there was
bones.
and just muscle. It
Right.
was all muscle, but
Well-
no fat. So that we had the speed because there was nothing holding us back.
I had no muscle, no definition or anything. So, believe it or not, everyone at J. Kim on that team, they used to laugh at me, and, tell me that,
Yeah.
all you do is your skin and bones and stuff.
Yeah.
Right? You have no muscle, no definition.
Right.
And, I mean, I was feeling bad. I'm like, okay, I'm just catching it from both ways.
Yeah.
When I was overweight, I was catching it from as
Yeah.
a child growing up.
Yeah.
Now I'm skin and bone skinny. I'm still catching it.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
like, this is
yeah,
no
yeah.
win.
That's But you just laugh it off.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Because as they say, you've had quite a career as a fighter, and I really think a show like this is great because people can hear how you are a humble man, but we have fun talking about old times. Your training schedule, second in that. Was it about 3 or 4 hours a day?
I was training at least 3-4 hours a day. I mean, it was like whenever the summertime or school vacation, I was over at Taekwondo.
Yeah.
From the time they opened to the time they closed.
And your diet? Did you have a special diet, or you just ate anything?
Well, being so thin, I could eat anything
That's
I
right,
wanted
yeah.
because I burned it off
Right.
a fast metabolism.
Try to eat more so you could gain
Right,
a
I
little
was
weight. Yeah.
eating more, and I mean, I was trying to put on muscle because I felt terrible. I'm like, man, I don't have no muscle or anything. And I'm looking at everyone; they're muscular. They got, and I was even lifting weights, doing push-ups, and I couldn't gain no weight.
Right.
I couldn't gain no weight. It's like I told you, the tournament I went to one time, they were feeding me all kinds of bran muffin, corn muffin, just so I could make
Right.
weight
Before the fight.
before the fight.
Now you got to fight with a stomach that's full of.
Right. Otherwise, they weren't going to let me fight.
Right. Oh no, those back in the day you couldn't. I remember I at one point I fought at 150 or 160, maybe it was 160, and the gorilla that I fought, he was probably 170, the top of the weight, and I said, can't do this. I got to go back down to my weight where I'm the kind of it's level at our weight or height. Because if you're fighting a tall guy and he outweighs you and he's good, you're in trouble.
You're in trouble.
And I remember holding my own, but going, I don't need to do this. I don't.
Right.
I can go back down. It's easy to drop weight. It was so easy to drop weight.
I
yeah.
did the same thing one time, and it was funny. The guy was really muscular, and all I remember, two of my teammates said to me, "What you gonna do now?" So I looked over at them.
Sid
And Larry said that. They said that, right? I said, "Yep, my pal, my friend.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Hey,
no support. Yeah, what you gonna
I
do
can hear
now?"
him now. Yeah,
And-
laughing. Yeah,
And they still talk about that to this day.
that's so funny. Yeah,
And I looked over at them. I said, "Okay, watch this." So the minute me and the guy bowed, and they said fighting stance. So you know the ref, he had his
Yeah.
hands up. Part of me was kind of scared because I said,
Yeah.
"Keep the hand up just
Here we go.
enough time."
yeah,
When he dropped his hand, I started moving. I said, moving around.
yeah.
So the guy couldn't catch me.
Right.
So I
Yeah.
kept tagging him. So after the fight, I ended up winning the fight on points and stuff.
Yeah.
So I went up to the guy with shook hands. I said, "You didn't think I was going to actually, go
Yeah,
toe
yeah.
to toe with you, did
No,
you?" I said,
no, yeah.
"Look at you compared to me."
Right.
I said, "That's the dude." I said, "You just made me. I'm going back to my old weight. I'm not even doing this again."
That's right. Yeah. Well, what weight? It was probably 20 pounds
This
more,
was like
10 pounds.
20 pounds more, but the
Makes a
guy,
difference.
He was like,
Oh yeah.
and he was really
Yeah.
like he was a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
And
See that right there. When I see that never. It's the height on some people.
Right.
Like you had me by about 2 inches, and it seemed like a foot. I remember looking. I'm going up because I was used to fighting kids that I was probably even taller than. Then all of a sudden I got you, and your legs go up there, and I went, "Oh no, what am I dealing with
But
here?"
see, I always had problems fighting with someone that was shorter than me because they kept coming.
Yeah.
So I had to like, hey,
Yeah,
man,
yeah.
get them off me. Especially if you have one, you were like that. You kept coming. I was like, oh, can you
Yeah.
get this guy off me
Yeah,
or something?
yeah.
Get
Yeah,
off me.
because I didn't want you to set up.
Right,
he sets up. He's taking me out. This
So,
guy.
like, oh, he's not giving me a chance.
That's-
But like I said, we always brought out the best. It
Yeah.
made me think. It made me change up my strategy.
Right. Yeah.
How to do things and how to deal with it.
Right. Yeah. Because I remember I stopped for a while after the first fight with you. I lost that first fight with you, and then I did a couple, and then I stopped. So I had a child, my son. I had a job, actually 2 jobs I was working, trying to train and teaching for Mr. Lee. My wife never saw me. She'll tell you to this day, I wasn't around. And then I remember Mr. Lee took the collegiate United States collegiate team to Korea. He wanted me to be their trainer. So I took off 2 weeks from work right before Christmas and went down with those guys. And some of these guys were preparing for the Olympics because the Olympics was going to be starting. So I remember going there, and I wasn't as impressed as I thought I was going to be with their technique. And I remember coming back on the plane with Mr. Lee. I goes, "I still got some fighting in me."
Right.
And he goes, "Yeah, you probably got a couple more years." I says, "Because I held my own training with these guys." And that was before our second fight. And then I says, but he goes, "You better train hard." Because I'm 30. And it seemed old then, but I wasn't.
But it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't. Looking back on it, it's not really that old.
No, not when you're 67 right now.
Yeah,
66.
right. And I'm 57, but 58 next month.
Yeah.
I remember I took off after our first fight. I remember joining the military.
That was that. You joined the military after that.
After that,
Oh, I
joined
didn't
the
know that.
military. Yeah, I joined because I was gone.
Right.
It was a year I didn't make it, and everyone told me, "Oh, he's in the military." I was going through basic training in AIT at the time.
Right.
And then I remember we met up a year later,
Right. Yeah.
or a couple of years later. We met up, and I told you, I said, "Oh, I was in the army."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah. Oh, so I didn't know. So you went in the army.
Yeah, I went in the army.
4 hours. 4 years. I mean.
4 years.
4 years,
And
yeah.
I came back, and then I ended up joining the National Guards because I still wanted something in the military. And then I remember meeting up with you and stuff. And no, I wasn't even married at the time. No, I wasn't even married or had a child at the time because I was still in the National Guards.
Okay.
So I left the army. I was still in the National Guards.
Right.
And stuff. And I was actually working. And my mother got sick, so I was actually moved back home.
Right.
Just so take care of her and everything
Right. Yeah.
and stuff.
Seems like it seems like centuries ago.
Yeah, yeah.
This seems so long ago, and then it went by like that.
It went right. And
Yeah.
I remember me and you was talking at the tournament, and they told everyone to sit down in our division.
And we
me and
didn't.
you, and we looked over at each other. and we started laughing because it's like our minds just click like, yeah, we're the last dude's going to be. We're winning this. We're taking it.
Well, I remember what happened is the person who was screaming "sit down," right? Was he was I was a higher rank than him at the time,
Right.
and some of these guys would walk around with their and think that they were, So he's screaming to everyone in the place, "Sit down and make a straight line." He's being it.
Right.
So I remember looking at you and we refused to sit down,
Right.
and everyone's looking at us, right? And I'm waiting. I'm saying, this ain't gonna end up right. And that was the New England championship.
New England champion, yeah.
And I remember everybody in that line was turning around, looking at us, like, why aren't these two sitting down? And I remember you and me going, oh, it's gonna be you and me at the end. I can see that.
We started. I know, because we was giggling about it, because I just knew. I said, "Oh, I know who I'm fighting that day." I remember even saying that. I said, "It's gonna be him. I said, it's gonna be me and him, man."
Me and you going.
I said, well, put it this way. I said, I'll be satisfied if one of us get first place.
Yeah,
I said,
yeah.
I'll be more satisfied because I said, at least I know. I said, when I win or lose, I said, I lost to someone that's good, that's got competition.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's in there. Jesus, just like it was yesterday. And the thing is, we have film on that. That's great, because when we were starting our documentary, that's how we can use. We were going back and forth.
Oh, right.
And you and that axe kick, and we were just going back and forth, and it's good to have that. I'm glad.
Right.
I wish I had more. You must have some at home that you can.
You know something? I have to look around to see if I have something else.
And they're probably VHSs.
A lot of them are VHS.
And they probably dried up. You never know.
Dried up or anything, because I have them like down in the basement and a few times, but I think higher up, because my basement was flooding and I had to get the sub.
Yeah, same with me. Thousands of them. My son playing football, of training with the guys.
Yeah.
I haven't seen them in years. I don't even know where they are, but I know they're around the house.
Right.
God only knows what kind of shape they're in.
I know.
They get a mold on them sometimes. There's a white mold that gets on them, destroys your VCR. So if it'll get on it. Now you got to clean your inside your VCR.
What was the smaller ones from the VHS? There was a smaller one they used to have before the VHS.
I don't know.
Oh, I forgot the name of it. And,
I know what you're talking about, but yeah, they were little cassette things or whatever. I don't know. That's
Someone said they had me, Larry, and they said, all we saw was Speed Demons. I'm like, I'm not fast like that anymore.
No, but they're fun to. You look back and how young you were.
Right.
But I still train every day. I got to train one way or another. Not putting the hours, but if we were to do this documentary, I'd put a couple hours in here, especially being retired.
Yeah, me.
Just to look good.
Right. I mean, me being retired, and I work for Diem because this retirement, I needed something to do.
That's right.
I said I got to have something to do.
Right. Yeah.
And but being retired from the sheriff's department, and I can put in the time to train and stuff. And even now, I get up in the morning after I drop my son off from school. Sometimes I walk around Castle Island. Sometimes I run. Sometimes I just go for a little light jog.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just do wind sprints, depending on how I
I
feel.
see you on Facebook sometimes, and
you see me posted it.
Yeah, I'll say, look at
trying
him,
to
he's
get it
working
in,
out.
trying to
All
get
right.
it in
It's do you see any of the old the old warriors that you trained with? Do you still hook up with them?
I still hook up with them. Sidley,
Yeah.
I do. Larry, he lives in New York and stuff, and he's a personal trainer, but he has trouble trying to train. He was telling me because he gained like a lot of weight and everything, and he's been sick. Sid was running the school for a while before the COVID, and his kids were very good.
Right.
Kids were very good.
Right.
They were winning tournaments, and he was training them the old-fashioned way, where no nonsense, things like that. And matter of fact, he had a cousin of mine, and she was winning tournaments and stuff. But
that's just cool.
Yeah, but now she's becoming a mother, so
right.
She's in motherhood now.
Boy, that's just cool, because I haven't seen Sid or Larry. I remember Larry. For some reason, I just remember laughing a lot when Larry was around. He was heavyweight.
Yeah, he was heavyweight.
So he must have fought a heavyweight who I'm trying to remember who, either Conrad Dumont or whatever. And we would just laugh and we got close, but we were rivals.
Right, we were rivals, but whenever we left Massachusetts, we all became a team as one team.
Yeah, we were all Mass. We were Mass boys, and
we always looked out for each other.
Yeah, and Mr. Lee and Kim, they were very close for a long time.
Yes.
And then Mike O'Malley, and we would go to tournaments, and we'd have. That's what I'm saying, for people listening. You get into something like this, and you make the best of friends, and even your competitors are your friends.
Your friends, right?
All right. Sometimes you get a wise guy. Sometimes you get, but 99% of the people who are training hard understand the other person's training hard, and what a something in common that you have.
Yep.
That you could talk for hours. You and me could talk 20 hours and go back and forth on crazy stories that but and that's what it's all about.
Yes. Yes.
Friendship, I bet you kept you.
The friendship, I mean, you don't see friendships like that no more. That's lasting that long, or anything like that. That's lasts that long, because a lot of people, they move away and everything,
Right.
and stuff. Like me and Larry, like Larry lives in Rye, New York,
Yeah.
and we still call each other every now and then.
Yeah.
A lot of times he's like, "Oh, I'm busy. I haven't called." And I know,
Busy
no problem.
life.
Yeah, life and everything. I think we got children, everything, and they're going to college, and
But I mean, you and me might have within the last 35 years have gotten together or talked together maybe 7 or 8 times, right?
yes,
Now,
yes.
And so we weren't close friends, but we were acquaintances through our fights,
Right.
and we liked each other's attitude. But when you're training every day with a friend or friends, boy, the stories you can tell.
Oh man,
And that's what makes it all worthwhile.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. Because I remember when I started working at the sheriff's department, there was a guy there, and he reminded me of you. So I'm like saying,
Is that
"You would have known me."
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah.
and so I remember asking someone, because I didn't know. I'm like, "Is his name Bob?" Oh no, his name is Steve.
Yeah.
But he was also a martial artist, but he taught Thai box.
Okay. Yeah.
And but he reminded me of you.
Yeah.
And
Especially if you haven't seen me in years.
right, I
and
haven't
years,
seen you in years, right? I'm like,
Yeah.
God, he sounds just like
That's
Bob,
funny,
right?
yeah.
I'm like,
Was he a wise guy?
no, he's nice, quiet guy. He had the same kind of voice and everything.
Yeah.
It's really, you put you both behind there, you both sound similar.
Yeah. That's so
I'm like,
funny.
"See, he would have known who I was, right?" I said,
Right.
so it can't be him and stuff. And then when I saw you on Facebook, man, I was so happy, man. I'm like, yeah, man.
I remember that. But what's funny is so you grow up, and you're a city kid. I'm a city kid. You grow up and you're just bouncing around. All of a sudden you join this martial arts school. Boy, without even realizing it, within a year or so, people in the streets know that you're taking. So the respect you start getting,
Yes.
and you start realizing the respect you're getting that you might not have even gotten before.
Right.
But people are going, and then you win your first tournaments and stuff. So it's all worth it. All the training, and your whole life changes. So I some people want to start their children at 2 years old, 3 years, too young. Start them at 8 or 9 or 10, very lightly, and work into it. Because now when they're starting to go into high school and stuff, they've got some martial arts behind them.
Right.
They're not going to get bullied.
Right.
They're not going to get bullied, especially if they train hard.
Like my son, he never wanted to take it, but I showed him some.
Right.
And I made him, hit the pad and everything. I said, just so you know how to handle
You
yourself.
you have to.
And but like even me, when I was growing up in the projects and stuff, and I was getting picked on. But then when I started learning martial arts, again, my mother didn't want me to become no bully or anything, or create like a Frankenstein.
But you could protect
Right.
yourself.
But the thing is that I became a hero,
Yeah.
especially when I won the states.
Yeah.
Because there was people there that was from the projects. They came back and said, "Hey, he just won the state champ. He's state champion." And everyone was like, "Oh,
Of the martial arts,
I'm
okay.
looking around. I'm like, "Oh, okay, wow." And
Yeah. And not only that, you're hanging around. Everyone you're hanging around is a black belt or a champion, or that's a tough group of people to hang around. You fear no one.
Right.
You're walking the streets going, yeah, all right. But then every one of you is, as I say, humble and wanted to have some fun with each other, wanted the friendship. We're just nice people.
Yeah.
And if you weren't nice, and everyone has them in the school, people who have a problem and attitude, you kind of took the attitude out of them.
Yeah.
You had a
took
way
that
of taking
attitude-
it out of
right.
sparring and
Sparring
training.
was usually the way. And when you saw the teacher go down the other end, I mean,
Yeah.
go
Right.
ahead.
Yeah.
You
No.
got the green light.
They weren't going to play the game. You weren't going to let them play their game with you, and you got to humble some of these people.
Yep.
Doesn't always work.
Nope. Keep the same
But then you hang around. I made sure I hung around with the people who were, Gary Pelletier, Grandmaster Pelletier, and
yes.
Master Shudo, and Soroyce, all these guys, and we still train together. We still have the school. It's a nonprofit out in Pelham.
Right.
That's 50 years. 50 years we've been together. So you're never going to let that friendship go.
Right.
And like when you don't see Larry for a long time or hear from him, right? And he talks to you on the phone, you guys just start laughing and
We
talking.
start laughing. No, it's like we never missed a beat.
Never
and it was
missed
the
a beat.
same with like it was me. It was always me, Larry, Sidney, and Leroy.
Leroy, yeah.
And Leroy was the most experienced out of all of us when
Right.
he came and stuff. But we all just clicked.
Oh, yeah.
And we were going to different tournaments out of the states, and we were always winning. And it got to a point where a few people knew who we were. There was a guy come up to, I see you 4 guys all the time and stuff. And we were like,
Because you probably put a crash down on his head at
and
one
we're
point.
sitting there like, you do.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was the same guy, and we got to know
Yeah.
the gentleman and everything, and
Yeah.
and it was like, wow. But then when we lost Leroy, part of us kind of died.
Oh, yeah.
Leroy was a
Yeah.
firefighter lieutenant, and
Right.
when he passed away, it really hurt a lot of us.
How old was Leroy?
Leroy, I'll see. 57. I think Leroy was close to either 58 or 59, possibly 60 around there.
Yeah. Boy, that's tough.
And,
But the memories you had will never, you know, the memories, you can never lose those
you can't never
memories.
lose the memories. We have pictures and everything.
I'd never trade a thing. at
No,
one
I
moment.
never traded.
But as I said, it took so much time away from my family. That's the hard thing, especially if you do have children and a wife and a job, 2 jobs. And boy, you want to train. All you want to do is train.
Right.
But you can't put the hours in you want to do because you've got life.
Exactly.
You know.
I mean, it's the same. Now, when I had my daughter, she was going to college, and I was helping to pay the tuition. I was working overtime, doing details. I was constantly working, and my wife never really got to see me. She's like,
Right.
"Oh, well, we don't do this, we don't do this." I'm like,
Yeah.
when
But-
you see that bill come in, you're
No.
looking at me, and
Yeah, and
everything.
you have purpose. You have the purpose that what you want to do, and the wife doesn't get to see you, or the children don't get to see you, and sometimes it's tough.
Right.
It's tough. And now my children are grown up, gone away. I got some time, and I'm retirement.
Well, see, I got one. Yeah, see, you're retired. See, I got one more child.
Yeah.
And he's 17, on a student and stuff, and now we're looking at colleges. We go to these
Oh, yeah.
college fairs and
Oh
everything.
my God, yeah.
And whatever he decides to pick, well, I'm hoping that he stays here, and I hope I can afford it. But
Yeah.
because I still work per diem, and I
Yeah.
did set some money aside for him.
Right, yeah.
But I try to spend as much time because now watching him grow up, I'm
Yeah.
like, wow, he grows up. He has a little girlfriend now.
Oh,
and
yeah. Yeah.
stuff.
It's tough watching them grow
Yeah,
up. It
watching
really
him,
is.
I'm looking, I'm like, oh my God, man, he's
And-
growing up.
And I'm watching my grandchildren grow up.
Right.
I got one of them that's 28, one's 26, one 9, one 4 or 5, right?
Right.
And they're just getting so old so fast. I'm going, wow, I'm getting old. I'm getting old.
Yes.
What's going on?
I say the same thing.
But I feel like if I could train 2 or 3 hours a day, I'd be back to.
If I could train even
I don't know how long that would last.
It feels good. Let me tell you, when you see me take those pictures, if I get to train that one time during that day, I'm happy.
Yeah,
I'm
I
like,
know.
I said, I got something there.
Right,
Glad.
yeah.
Because after a while, I start to fiend, like, say, oh man, I want to do something. I want to hit a bag. I want to hit a pad. I want to, throw some kicks, or even
That's right.
just doing my pattern.
Yeah, and the thing is, you know that you got to watch it because one wrong move, you're going to be laid up for months. So it's not the craziness when we were kids,
Right.
At our age. It's throw it and hit that pad wrong, or that heavy bag wrong. You're going to feel it tomorrow
I'll
like you
feel
know.
tomorrow, yeah. And I'm always aware of that. Whenever I'm on the heavy bag, I say, okay,
All right,
just take your time here.
yeah, you're not
You don't need to
25
worry, I'm
anymore.
not 25 no more. I'm not that guy anymore.
But the funny thing is, you have the mindset.
Right.
All right, I feel like if I go if I want to spa anyone, I could hold my own, and it's good to feel that way because you train so many years, and you have that pride and the pride,
Yes.
your pride. And it used to be you didn't want to let your instructor down. Mister Lee would get mad if I got second place.
Yep.
He would go, "What happened?"
yeah.
He'd go, what happened? Why did you get second place? Second place, you should be honored and happy. Nope.
Nope.
You should have first.
You should have first.
Yeah. He actually told me once, he goes, I know why you got second. He goes, you're starting to spot like a wise guy. Telling me I probably thought I was full of myself. Or, boy, did I change my attitude there because I didn't want him to ever think that way of me.
Right.
And he would tell you, you're not training hard anymore. You think you're too good to train. And I always thought I was training as hard, but it's his way of pushing you.
Pushing you.
Just
Right,
that
right.
one.
Mr. O'Malley did that to me one time and stuff, because he said something. He said, "Don't get a big head,"
Yeah.
and I always kept that in the back of my mind. Whatever
Right.
you do, don't be humble. Don't
Yeah.
get a big head. Because I remember one tournament I lost. The next day, I was in there training. That Sunday, when I came home, I got up in the morning and I purposely went over the train. I said, "That's not going to happen again."
Right.
And stuff. And
Yeah.
I was really determined to win the next tournament.
Never again. Even if you'll wear them down because you're in such good shape.
Right.
You know, and as we talked earlier, some people are really great fighters, but if they didn't put the hours in, and I remember they asked Mike Tyson, "Why you get up at 2 a.m. to run, and why do you have to get up that early?" And he said, "Because I know that the other guy's not doing it, so I hate him, and I'm going to kill him."
Right.
He ain't putting that time in, he ain't going to win.
Right.
You know?
He's not in it.
Yeah,
Right.
that's so funny.
Right, and you have to put in the time, and he's exactly right. You have to put in the time, the effort. If you want to win, put in the time.
And the time, especially in competitive fighting, you have to be sparring hours and hours and hours of sparring, and with good people,
Right.
and just create a speed that is muscle memory,
Right.
as you say,
Right.
because you've done it so much with great fighters.
There was times when I was sparring, and I had my good days and my bad days. Some of those bad days, I was like, "Oh, I wish this was just over. I wish the time just bing, bing, bing."
Right.
You ain't, because I'm out there and I'm getting my ass handed to me.
Right.
I'm getting caged. and I'm just having a terrible day, and I'm just like, "Oh my God!" The time when he called me to come over there, I had the flu, and I'm sparring with each and every one of them. I'm like, "When is this going to be over? Just please knock me out," you know.
Yeah, and sometimes doing that is so good because it doesn't get any worse.
Right.
You've already been in hell.
Yes.
Everything else is gravy.
It just makes you better. It
Yeah.
makes you. I don't know what it does. It just makes you better.
Yeah, it does. It does. It's tougher as you get older and you have jobs and have wives and kids because it's you don't have that when you're younger you don't have that responsibility.
Right.
That responsibility could be right in your training.
Right.
But then all of a sudden you got to share the responsibility and your training goes to the side a little and it's the toughest thing in the world.
Times when I wanted to train, and my wife had to do something.
Yeah.
Or my son had to go somewhere, or I had to take him to a soccer game, or my daughter had to do something. I'm like, I'm supposed to go train today, and I'm like, I'm sitting there, and I couldn't really get angry because I'm like,
Right.
I realize I'm married now, I'm
Right. Especially if you're competing.
right,
Now you're nervous. Oh, I'm not training today. That's not good. That's not good. It can't happen 2 days in a row.
Right.
It can't. So that's people who are listening to the show and trying to get a point. The point is to keep the regiment every day if you can.
Yep.
If you can't, the next day double it up a little.
right,
All right. Because if you don't, you're going to meet the guy who is.
yeah,
And you definitely were. I know I definitely was. Almost to a point where obsessive compulsive training.
training, exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Oh yeah, you have to. I knew when I was going in the match with you, I knew you trained. I knew you trained. I didn't know about the other guys, but I was like, I fought him before. I know he's training.
Right. Which is good. Because if everyone you thought was going to be easy, it might slow your training.
Right.
I don't need that.
Exactly. And I didn't want no cakewalk. I'd rather have competition, and whether I win, lose, draw, tie or anything like that. I'd rather have the competition.
Yeah.
It brought out the best in me.
Yeah.
But then I'll reflect on the match and say, okay, how did I lose this match? What did I do wrong?
Right.
Did I run out of gas? Right. Did I do this, do that? And then I'll change it up.
Right. It's funny because I remember being at Grandmaster Lee used to have tournaments every year, and I would help him with the tournaments, which would be always on a holiday, Columbus Day, or Memorial Day.
Yeah.
My wife is not happy with that, and I don't blame her. But I remember you used to go to a couple of them. You went to a couple, either helped or with Mike O'Malley, Grandmaster O'Malley, and I didn't see you for a couple of years. And I went over and whoever I saw, I said, "Where's Major?" I haven't said. Well, Major's going up and down the East Coast, just knocking everyone out. And I forgot who I was. I went, "What?" He goes, "Oh, yeah, they can't keep up with Major. He's just going up and down, and he could be in Florida right now knocking somebody out."
Yeah, we would travel. We would travel up and down. And again, it was us four, and they actually nicknamed us like the Fearsome Foursome, which was a comic book, I think it was. And we were like, "Who? What?"
Yeah.
It's the Fearsome Foursome. But it's funny because I sent Sid the other day a picture of the banana splits.
Yeah.
So Sid named each one of us. He's a Larry. So I got named the elephant. So I said, dude, I'm not even big like an elephant. He said, no, not because you're not big. It's your ears, man. You know you got big ears. And I said, okay, yeah, you got me on that one. He said, you got big ears. I said, yeah, you got me. You got me.
See, that's what's funny because my boys down in Lawrence and now in Pelham and stuff, we're still together and stuff. And the jokes, the inside jokes that you have and the friendship, you can't beat it.
Right.
Taekwondo was good, but the friendship was everything. That was it. And you could say anything. You know, hey, Bob, you know why your nose is, you got a problem with your sunburn on your nose? Well, it's that closer to the sun. And that would be funny. Anybody else will you say? Well,
yeah. Like I know my nose is big. And, you know, and I remember my wife was saying, my son, she said, I hope he doesn't get your nose. I'm like, yeah, me too. I hope he doesn't get my nose either, you know. I'll say the same thing. But, I laugh at it, you know, but it's funny because with us, they used to always joke about my ears because my ears are big and stuff, man.
I never noticed.
Said, yeah, we know you fly. Yeah, we know you can fly, man.
That's
so
funny.
when the movie Dumbo come out, and I remember one time he called me. He said, hey, I know you had a movie come out. I'm looking at it, I'm like, what are you talking about?
Dumbo.
So he shows Dumbo. I'm like, I should have known.
But you get him back. You get him back.
Oh, yeah.
One way or another.
Well, you know something? Sid is slightly bow-legged.
There you go. Hope he hears this.
Oh, yeah. And I mess with him all the time. I always tell people, I said, you know why he can do the roundhouse cook so well? I said, his hip is already turned over.
Yeah.
It's already turned over.
Yeah.
I said, all you got to do
He's
is
about to
lift it
go.
up.
That's
so he don't have to turn his hip. It's already turned over.
That's so funny, yeah. And as I say, I sometimes I don't see my guys. I won't see them for 6 months, whatever. The minute you see them, it clicks, and
Don't
you
miss a
haven't
beat.
missed a beat, and
Yep.
you never miss them. And it could be years.
Right.
You could not see some of your friends for years and years and years, and it clicks.
Yep.
And that's because you have so much in common, and they're your
Right.
brothers.
Right, they're your brothers. They become your brothers, your family. I mean, you have disagreements and everything, but you're always there for each other.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
there for each
And I remember you had to go through the same thing when you'd spar for hours and hours with all of them. And either you're taking a shower or you're just changing and go home, and you're showing the bruises that you give each other.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like a
Yep.
black eye, or your whole shoulder's all red and brown and
Exactly,
blue.
because you always had that one hard hitter.
Oh,
He's,
yeah.
I'm keeping it light. I'm like, no, you're not. I'm like, look at
Yeah,
this.
yeah. We're supposed to go easy.
Supposed
Yeah.
to go easy, man.
Yeah.
I said, you're not keeping it like I said, but it just made you turn it up a notch. He's like, okay,
You
now I
turn it
got to
up
turn it up a notch
That's
now, you
right,
know.
yeah. Well, yeah. When you get tagged, you go,
Right,
all right.
right,
Well, if that's what we're gonna do, I guess we're in that.
The only one that actually did that was Larry.
Yeah.
Me and him, it was like a chess match with me and him, because I knew he was taller than me. I said,
Right.
okay. What I had him on was with the speed,
Yeah.
the speed and the timing.
Right, yeah.
So I said, okay, at some point he's gonna come in close. When he come in close,
yeah.
hit him, push him back, and
Get
then
out
hit
of
him,
here. And then
get out of here,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Well, it's funny. It's because it's strategy. Every person, it's a chess match.
Right.
Every person is a different chess move, and
Right.
you know their moves. You better know their
You
moves.
better
'cause
know their
They're gonna
moves.
tag you with that move more than once.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't be slow learner.
No,
when it
no,
comes
you
to-
just knew whoever you was fighting against. If that was going to be the high fight, you'd be like, okay, I'm going to be in for a fight. You might as well just prepare for this.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know you're going to get hit.
Yeah, yeah.
Get ready.
And then when you get hit, you show each other. Yeah, well, I got you. Oh, you got me here, and I
Yep.
got you.
Here, you're clashing shins and
yeah.
everything, and I'm like, oh man, but I
And-
wouldn't trade it in for nothing.
No, I wouldn't trade it. Not one day. That's how much I loved it.
Right.
I miss a lot of it now because
Yeah.
as you get older, and COVID just threw a wrench into the world, man.
man,
It's over, I think.
I
Maybe.
hope so. I hope so. I mean, I was fully vaccinated because the per diem job, I'm working at a hospital, and I didn't want to bring nothing home to my wife. And
Right.
my wife made me change my clothes. Yeah, change outside there.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
Oh,
you're not
yeah.
bringing it in here.
No,
Keep
I
the shoes
understand.
up there. Right?
Good for her. Yeah, and that's you had to do it. And now that it's over. Now, and anyone who's listening to this, I mean, 10 years, 15 years from now, if this program's still in the archive somewhere, we got the war with Russia looming right over our heads, and pray for Ukraine.
Yes, yes.
Our brothers over there. Be nice to do something more than we're doing, but
I know.
It'll
Senseless
happen. You know
war.
it's going to happen. It's not going to end good.
No,
This
and
isn't going to end good, and it's
It's weird how everything they're talking about the war, but you really don't hear too much about COVID now.
no, you can't. It's nothing like this war might
Right.
do for the world.
Right.
So COVID is like that's a back burner, and Hopefully it went away. Maybe it just went away on us.
Right. Hopefully
You know it
and
didn't.
we can just forget about
Yeah.
it and stuff. And
Till
with
the
this
next
war,
train. Till the
right,
next train.
I have a feeling it's not going to end pretty, but
No.
I do pray for Ukraine, and I hope everything will work out for the best for
Right.
Ukraine.
And
They're not giving up.
with NATO, and I think we're doing well right now with NATO. And if we all put our forces together, Russia knows they can't compete with
Yeah.
NATO and us. They
No,
can't.
They can't.
But they can make it bad for everyone.
Right, right.
And it's suicide for them.
Yep. And
They
I mean,
vaporize. It's suicide.
turns into nuclear.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, wow, we're just
All-
destroying ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, we're destroying
For one
ourselves.
man?
Yeah,
For one man?
man.
Yeah. That's about all the time, Major.
Okay.
We're on the doorstep of an hour, and I really appreciate. We're going to do it again.
Thank you.
We're going
I
to
wanna
do it
I'm
again.
looking
'cause,
forward to it.
Maybe one day we'll grab Sid or somebody or Larry or.
I'll bring them up here. Yeah.
Imagine the fun we'd have talking.
Oh,
if I
man.
get 4 of us, 2 of my guys, 2 of your guys, or
Yeah.
something.
Oh man, the fun we have. The
Yeah,
fun, the stories
some of
we
the
tell.
stories, and I forget who fought who. I don't know who fought who,
I don't
but
know.
I know you and me fought, and I know.
I remember Bob Jacobs.
Yeah.
I remember he was refereeing my fights.
Yeah,
I always love Bob.
Yeah, yeah,
So we,
yeah.
we talk on Facebook, or he's always sending me something.
Oh, you still Facebook friends
Oh,
with Club?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Facebook
Yeah.
friends with him, of
Because we
course.
had Conrad Dumont who fought John Lee. And what a
That's right.
battle they had. He was one of the tight guys.
Right.
But he was from Canada. We call him the doctor.
Right,
He was from
right,
Canada.
yes. I
And
remember
just the strongest man I've ever met in my life. And he gave Johnny a fight for his. And
I
Johnny knew
I
it.
remember that
Yeah.
fight. I remember
He
that
died,
fight.
you know.
I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, he died a few years ago. And I don't even know how he died. I lost complete contact with him. Dr. Dumont, God rest his soul, the doctor. That's it, brother.
All right.
Thank you so much. Until next time, train hard and have some fun.